They say a man can cross mountains and seas, command armies, rule empires, and still never be free. Because freedom, real freedom, the kind that echoes into the soul, is not granted by power, by wealth, or even by knowledge. It is wrestled from the shadows within. And that is where our story begins, not in the light of glory, but in the dark chambers of the self. Picture it. A cold night in Basel, Switzerland, 1903. The fire crackles in a dim-lit study where a young Carl Gustav Jung scribbles furiously into his journal. His hand trembles not from cold but from what he has just realized, a truth so piercing, so dangerous, it would shape the rest of his life and terrify generations to come. Because what he saw that night was not madness. It was clarity. It was the face of the unconscious staring back at him. Before we descend deeper, take this moment to subscribe, like, and comment your thoughts. This journey is not for the faint of heart. But if you're still watching, maybe some part of you is ready to confront what lies beneath. Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And that is the truth we run from. The great lie that we are in control, that we choose, that we know ourselves. But we don't. Not yet. Not until we dare to open that locked door in the back of our minds and look at the monster inside, the shadow. The ancients knew this. The Greeks whispered it in the myth of Narcissus. The Egyptians buried it with their pharaohs. In every culture, every forgotten civilization, there were rites, initiations, sacred journeys into darkness. Why? Because the elders knew what we have forgotten, that true strength does not come from avoiding fear, but from facing it. And Jung, more than any modern thinker, restored this ancient path. He walked it, he mapped it, and he paid the price. There was a time he feared he was losing his sanity, when dreams of blood and fire consumed his nights, when voices echoed through his waking hours. But instead of running, he listened. Instead of denying the darkness, he conversed with it. And from that fire he forged gold, the gold of individuation. There was a man named Emile, a patient lost in hallucinations, convinced he was the king of Israel, that demons spoke through mirrors. Doctors called it schizophrenia. Jung called it something else. He sat with Emile for months, not as a physician above a patient, but as a soul beside another. And slowly Jung began to see patterns, not insanity, but symbols, archetypes, the language of the unconscious trying to speak through madness. And what if we are all like Emile, walking a fragile thread between reason and chaos, guided by forces we don't understand? Jung believed the mind was not just a tool, but a battlefield. And most of us don't even know we're at war. Back in ancient Mesopotamia, they told tales of gods who lived in shadow, gods who only revealed themselves through suffering. Shamans would enter trances, risking madness just to commune with these hidden spirits. And isn't that what Jung did, really? In his famous Red Book, he chronicled these visions, these inner dialogues. He called it active imagination. It wasn't poetry, it was survival. And in those pages, he met Philemon, a wise old man who guided him. Was Philemon real? Well, that question, it sort of misses the point. Because what Jung discovered is that the deepest truths don't live in facts, they live in symbols. He said, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. But to awaken is not bliss, it is terror, it is disillusionment, it is watching the masks fall away, the good son, the perfect student, the loyal servant, and finding a stranger underneath. And yet it is only by facing that stranger, by integrating the shadow, that we become whole, not good, not perfect, whole. The world does not need more perfect people. It needs people who have descended into themselves and returned with the truth, even if it scars them. Jung studied alchemy not for superstition, but because he saw it as a metaphor for psychological transformation. Nigredo, albedo, rubedo. The blackening, the whitening, the reddening, the death of the ego, the birth of the self. And so many of us are stuck in that first phase, the nigredo, the darkness, the confusion. We numb it with noise, with screens, with endless distractions. But it waits. The truth always waits, and until we face it, we remain prisoners. There's an old Tibetan ritual where a seeker must spend the night alone in a cave with no fire, no food, no contact, just them and the mountain. Many broke, some vanished, but a few emerged transformed. Why? Because they saw what could not be unseen. And Jung believed we all must do this in our own way. We must enter our personal caves, confront the voices that whisper in shame and guilt and fear. Because only then do we earn the right to call ourselves free. He said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not who your parents wanted, not who society rewards, but the raw, naked, unfiltered self that hides beneath layers of adaptation. And make no mistake, it is a war between the persona and the soul, between what is expected and what is real. But if you endure it, if you stare into the abyss and don't flinch, something incredible happens. The shadow becomes your ally, the pain becomes your teacher. And freedom is no longer a word, it is a state of being. So let the others chase success, let them polish their masks. You who watched this far, you have work to do, inner work, hard work, sacred work, because the only prison is the one we refuse to see. And the only way out is through. This is not the end of the video, it is the beginning of your descent. If you're ready to face what you've been avoiding, like, comment and subscribe. The cave is waiting.